Hey YouTube, this is Steve from Average Joe's Fantasy Football. I'm here for your Week 11 start and sit video for the running back position. Of course, if you haven't already, check out all my other start and sit videos to help you guys out. We've got a great slate of games this week, and of course Thursday, early Sunday morning, and then only 2 teams on a bye, so let's jump right into it. There are 2 teams on a bye this week. You got the Colts and the Saints out, which means at the running back position, no Jonathan Taylor, which is huge, and then of course no Alvin Kamara, which isn't as bad, which means you still have a great option at the running back position with all the other teams playing this week. Now, these are your obvious starts at the running back position, whether it be a great matchup or they are just matchup proof and they're going to have some success in either way. Now, as far as the first running back I mentioned as a good start this week to me, Jaylen Warren versus the Bengals. I love this matchup for Jaylen Warren against these guys. Let's be honest, the running back position has been really good against the Bengals. The Bengals are allowing the worst amount of points. They're allowing the most, 33 fantasy points as a whole. They're also allowing the most yards on the ground at 141 yards on the ground with about 5.5 yards an attempt, which is amazing. Plus, they're actually allowing 5 receptions per game, which is great. Now, Jaylen Warren had some ups and downs. He had some great games this season. In his last outing against the Bengals, he put up 19.8 fantasy points, which was his highest all season. It was his first 100-yard rushing game. Now, he didn't score any touchdowns in that one, but I do have, again, he has the ability to get down the field. He's really quick. He's the type of running back that is going to have success against this Bengals defense who has struggled. So again, Jaylen Warren is an absolute must start this week. You're going to put him in your lineup. Now, another running back I really like this week is going to be Ashton Jeanty versus the Cowboys. Now, I'm not in love with Geno Smith if you watch my quarterback start and sit video, but I am in love with Ashton Jeanty's matchup this week. Right now, going into the season of Week 11, he is running back 13, which is about where you didn't want him to be, right? Let's be honest. You draft him in the end of the first, early second round, but he's not putting up the performance you would like. Now, he's had 2 really good back-to-back weeks, 19 points against the Jaguars, 15 points against the Broncos. Really good matchups as far as this week. The Cowboys are just horrendous, right? Now, there are some changes. The Cowboys did make a change, obviously adding a defensive tackle in Quinnen Williams. They did add, obviously, Logan Wilson at linebacker. Overshown is supposed to be back. So the defense could be different. So there is some hesitation with Jeanty, but if you got him, you're probably going to have to start him anyways because you probably don't have any other options. The Cowboys are allowing 110 rushing yards on the ground, just under a touchdown per game. And again, fantasy point wise, they're about tied with the Giants, allowing 26 points per game total. So this is a really good matchup for Jeanty, minus the inclusion of now Williams and Logan Wilson and Overshown and stuff like that. So that may change a little bit for Dallas and actually may improve, but I still am going to put Jeanty in there. Another running back you're going to start, and you probably put him as an obvious start nowadays, but it's Rico Dowdle going against the Falcons this week. The Falcons are a team that are allowing just under 27 fantasy points per game. They're allowing 116 yards on the ground, about 4 receptions in the air as well. Rico Dowdle has been on a tear. He's right now currently running back 10 in fantasy going into Week 11. And if you actually really look at it, I mean, you have 15 points in Week 10, 28 points in Week 9. I mean, this Rico has been on a tear. He's averaging about 3 receptions per game, which is also awesome in a PPR standpoint. But he's getting some touchdowns. And again, going against the Falcons, this is a game he should have some success. He played them in Week 3. Now, granted, he was not the starter, but he still put up 10 fantasy points as the backup, and I think he's going to do even more. The Falcons are a team that can get scored on and ran on, and I think the Panthers, if they want to have any type of success, are going to have to use him to try to keep the Falcons from trying to score. Now, we're not sure what's going to happen with Drake London. He's still questionable, but I do think the Falcons are still a better team overall, but I do think the Panthers, if they have any type of chance, will have to use Dowdle. And the last running back I'm going to recommend is going to be Rachaad White versus the Bills. Kind of surprising, but the Bills are actually struggling against running backs. They're allowing 117 yards on the ground. They're allowing 4 receptions in the air. And Rachaad White, I know he hasn't been great, right? You would hope he'd been better with Bucky Irving out. This was his opportunity. He's been right? He's had some good points, but then the last 3 weeks, he's averaging just about 9 fantasy points, which is not what you're looking for. He's averaging under 4 yards a carry. But the receptions is what's keeping him alive. He's getting 5 receptions here, 6 receptions there. So there are targets, there are options for him. Now, I do think he's going to have some success because the Bucs are just struggling. Baker has not been on point. The receiving core has been injured. You got to rely on K-Dot, and you got to rely on Egbuka. And now Rachaad White. I do think Rachaad White's going to try to be force-fed a little early. I do think Baker throws him enough passes to keep him relevant. I think he's getting about 15 fantasy points this week. I really like him as a good matchup. Now, on the flip side, guys, I'm going to sit. First one's going to be Derrick Henry versus the Browns. Crazy, I know, but Derrick Henry has not been great anyways. Let's be honest. You draft him probably in the second to third round, most likely the second. And Derrick Henry coming into week 11, he's running back 18. Not enough for you. And the last time he played the Browns, he put up 23 rushing yards. That's it. He also fumbled. Now, he didn't lose the ball, but he still fumbled. And he's had the early fumbles gone, which are great, but he's still not putting up a lot of fantasy points in general. He's not a receiving back that's going to have a lot there. They haven't really scored enough for him to be successful. I do think they're going to improve against the Browns, but again, Lamar Jackson played against the Browns with them in week 2, and they still struggled. Browns are allowing only 79 yards on the ground, 3.7 yards a carry. Like, they are doing phenomenally. They're a really good defense, and I don't think Derrick Henry is worth putting in your lineup. Another running back I don't like is Kenneth Walker versus the Rams. Rams are also a really good run stuffing team. They're only allowing 16 fantasy points as a whole. They're only allowing 73 yards on the ground. And the only benefit of Kenneth Walker is if he gets any type of receptions. But the fact is, Zach Charbonnet is in this game, and Zach Charbonnet is not allowing Kenneth Walker to have anything. Charbonnet has been the red zone threat. He's been the guy who's been able to score. He's been the one that's been having some success. Now, I don't trust Charbonnet either this week. I don't really like either running backs. I do think they're going to try to use him to keep the Rams from trying to score quickly using both receivers and Devontae Adams and Puka Nacua. But for me, I'm not trusting either running back. I am especially not putting in Kenneth Walker. Another running back I'm sitting is another big name is Saquon Barkley. Going against the Lions this week. The Lions are allowing only 71 yards on the ground. They are allowing 4 yards a carry, but again, this is a game that I think the Lions are going to have to put up a shootout, allowing and forcing Jalen Hurts to throw, which means Saquon Barkley will not have the success he is hoping to have. Barkley is currently running back 11. As shockingly as that is, as bad as he's been playing, he is running back 11. What helped was in week 8, he had 33 fantasy points, which was the biggest thing that helped him jump up. Otherwise, he'd be outside that top 10, probably in the running back 15 range. This is a tough matchup. I don't like it for him. If I have any other options, I'm going to sit Barkley this week. You're probably starting him, but I would look for something else. And the last running back I'm going to sit is going to be Kareem Hunt versus the Broncos. Look, I understand Pacheco's out, which means Kareem Hunt's going to get some opportunities. Rachaad White's still there, or Smith, I mean. But Kareem Hunt, unless he gets in the red zone, is not going to put up enough points. Broncos are a team that are only allowing 78 yards on the ground. They haven't allowed a lot of touchdowns, and they're also not allowing a lot of receptions to the running back position either. This is going to be an interesting game. I think it could be a game that it's going to come down to like a 13-7, 13-10 type of game. It's not going to be a lot of scoring, not going to be a lot of yards. It's going to be a close game, especially in this division. They're trying to fight it out. I just don't think it's going to be enough for Kareem Hunt to have any type of success. I'm going to sit him this week. Now, as far as my sleepers, I got Woody Marks versus the Titans. Woody Marks has kind of taken over and being the running back 1 for the Texans, and going against the Titans team that are allowing a lot of yards. They're allowing 114 yards on the ground, 26 fantasy points per game. They're allowing about 4 receptions per game. This is a really good matchup for Woody Marks. I think he's a nice little sleeper. And then I got Quinshon Judkins versus the Ravens. I think, again, if the Browns want to have any type of success, try to help Gabriel as far as not getting killed out there. The Ravens are susceptible to the run. They're allowing about 96 yards on the ground. They're also allowing 5 receptions in the air, which is where I think Judkins can have some success. I think he gets a touchdown in this one. I think he's going to be the one that has a really good game, especially compared to Derrick Henry. So he's a nice little sleeper as well. So those are my start sits and sleepers for week 11 of the running back position. If you guys haven't already, check out all my other videos that are out there. Subscribe to the channel, hit that like button. I'll check you guys out next time.